All right, so welcome to the new topic on special topics in marketing. So this is all about Hoshin Kanri Strategy Development. This is not entirely mine. This is from Operational Excellence Consulting. We have this in my present company, but we used to talk about this when I was with my former company LPU. We were taught this by our partner Yasaki Torres, who happens to be which happened to be also a partner of Toyota. So I think Hoshin Kanri is really a Japanese thing. It's been talked about even in the awards of PQA. I see a lot of companies also using Hoshin Kanri. It's really strategy development. It's really for planning. But since we are talking about strategy, and strategy aligns with marketing more or less, right? It's in the tip of the action, where the action is, right? So might as well talk about it. So without further ado, Hoshin Kanri. So Hoshin Kanri, well, first of all, we'll talk about the key concepts and principles of what Hoshin Kanri is all about, and we will define the processes and the tools under the Hoshin Kanri. We will also describe Hoshin Kanri approach to planning, deployment, and review process for managed change. So here's where we will be aligning ourselves to our subject on the side of deployment. So we know what planning is all about. We talked about that in the SWOT analysis. Remember, when you confront the strength with the opportunities, isn't it? When we confront the strength with the opportunities, we have the area of offense, and usually we align that to our planning process, and the deployment side will be taken care of by Hoshin Kanri. We also would want to gain practical knowledge and skills in planning and deploying Hoshin Kanri in the organization. So, what are the program benefits? We focus on the entire company, on a few vital goals rather than the trivial many. Again, we see this comment, and remember, we talked about this in the Covey presentation, the Stephen Covey Four Disciplines of Execution. The few vital goals, so the critical few, versus the, we don't call it trivial many, but it's more of the important many, right? So we don't want to say that it's something that we that's not important, right? Also, it creates alignment towards the breakthrough objectives through involvement of the whole management team in the planning process. If you look at Hoshin's development, the cascading down of the plan and the deployment towards individual work units, you will see that the alignment uh, pretty much takes care of itself, and the involvement is not only of the whole management team, but also on individual units. So that's what is important here, I guess. It also communicates the key goals to all managers and staff. So that's where the deployment is. And for me, it's not only communicating, it's really involving, especially if you allow the team to be the one to create the alignment of Hoshin Kanri plans with their plans. So if you let them, develop their own goals as well, as long as it is aligned to the mandate of management, then it's not only communicating, it's also involving them. So also we integrate and encourage cross-functional cooperation to achieve breakthrough, which is really something that is desired in the Hoshin Kanri planning. So a review process which holds participants accountable for achieving their part of the plan, because if you won't you know uh, go with your plan, then the plan of your teammates will also be affected because of the alignment here. So we have introduction to Hoshin Kanri. This is the program outline, the principles of Hoshin Kanri, the Hoshin Kanri processes, the tools under Hoshin Kanri, the deployment, management reviews, which also aligns with the ISO framework, and effective Hoshin Kanri deployment. So symptoms that your organization needs to do Hoshin Kanri planning: there are too many bad projects in process, very long lead times for improvements. So this is where you know that we want cycles of improvement to be almost automatic in our processes, right? But then when you have long lead times, it means that, for example, you have a process of let's say inventory management, right? And it's been around since the 2007 or something like that, no? So if you will notice 2007 and then it's already 2022, that's already a 15-year-old inventory management plan. It has I'm sure there are many things that change in the world of inventory management. 2008, came, the financial crisis came during that year, and it must have given, made an impact on inventory management. So you have to really adjust that, right? Constantly missed budgets and forecast. Yeah, senior management vision does not match organizational activities. This really happens a lot, especially if the management team has, you know, uh, a lot of creativity moving around, right? And so that's also a problem if you have that, right? And also, annual objectives are rolled out in March instead of January. So here, the thing is, you have a plan, but then the plan doesn't come out until March because there's no plan, right? So plans, according to Dwight David Eisenhower, U.S. president, plans are nothing. Planning is everything. So the plan itself is nothing but the process of planning. That's everything. According to Sun Tzu, is the author of The Art of War. Usually, a book that we always talk about, in management. Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. That's something deep, right? Strategy, if you don't have tactics, is, yeah, you can win, but it's slow. While tactics without strategy is, it's just noise, but you will be defeated. So it's really about strategy. Even if you are on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. So Will Rogers here talks about the cycles of improvement. You cannot just rest on your laurels. You really have to improve on the processes. That's why, in PQA, in the Philippine Quality Award, the Malcolm Baldridge strategy framework, the performance management framework, talks about cycles of improvement, and it doesn't talk only about the approach. So we call that ADLI, ADLI. So every process has an ADLI component in it. First is the approach. It has to be repeatable, right? It's an approach. If it's a process, if there's schedule in it, it's not something that happens sometimes happens and sometimes doesn't happen. So it's an approach, it's a process. D is for deployment. Everybody knows about it. And then L is for learning, which is the cycles of improvement. So what it means is that if you have a process and it has not been improved for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, then there's something wrong with your process. You remember this, that even if you are on the right track, you will get run over if you don't move. So you really have to keep on moving. So the limitations of standard strategic planning is there are too many priorities. Of course, if you've seen the balance scorecards, then it will be a different kind of story here, right? Because in the balance scorecard, you have just a few priorities. Too many priorities, we have insufficient detail, and then there's a lack of active review, which makes it, like sometimes non-actionable, and therefore it's just a paper, it's just a plan. Hoshin Kanri is Japanese term for policy deployment. So Hoshin is composed of two characters, two Japanese characters. Ho means method or form. Shin means the shining needle or compass. So it's a method or form. And Shin, somehow directs uh, everything, because it's the needle or the compass at the end of the thing. Yeah, that's why it's pointed. It's just it's not dull because it only focuses on one single area, and usually the area is tiny, right? So taken together, Hoshin means a methodology for strategic direction setting, because the direction is everything that matters, right? Kanri is a word that means management or control. So we have the method, the management of the methods of strategic direction setting, right? So what is Hoshin Kanri? It's a visual planning tool that helps us identify the key focus points and strategies we will use to steer us towards our vision. Enables everyone to see rather than, because you see, Hoshin is really is visual management, where we're going and our plans to get there. We are building plan and strategies as a team. So it's not just the plan, it's not just the end point, but the ways to get there, even the action plan that leads to the to the end result, to the goal, is included. Shared responsibility for getting results, because there's alignment among teams, and that's why when you present the Hoshin Kanri, everybody, well, not everybody, but the team management team is there, and the management team individually meets with his or her, you know, with their department, right, or your sub team or something like that. What Hoshin Kanri is not, it's not a tool for management to control the employees, although people feel that way at times. It's not a strategic planning methodology to replace the balanced scorecards. It's not really a balanced scorecard. So, when you look at it, it's not really balanced at all. There's no balancing act there, there's no weights, it's just a tool for direction. It's not focused entirely on outcomes. Yes, it's true, because we have things there that includes actions and plan to get to the outcome, right? It's not also a performance appraisal tool, although a lot of company uses Hoshin Kanri as a form of performance appraisal tool. It's not the performance appraisal tool, but they make use of the Hoshin Kanri in order to sometimes reward people, but it's not what it is, right? And a lot of people make that mistake, and the reason why they're attaching that to performance appraisal is because they want to force people to do Hoshin Kanri. So that's the reality of it. It's not also a management reporting tool, although a lot of companies also do that, because when you present Hoshin, it's a way for you to do a report really of what's going on, because you are trying to tell the management, your leader, your manager, about where you're going next year or next quarter, right? And so it's a form of reporting in a way, because he or she knows what's happening, and sometimes, well, most of the times, he gives you inputs about the plans that you put there. It's not Ocean Cannery is not another extracurricular activities. Well, tell that to the Marines. I'm just kidding, guys. The thing why I'm saying that is because there are many companies that uses Ocean Cannery as a sort of like, okay, we're doing this, we're a grand company, we have new tools here and there, we don't other people don't know this, other companies don't use this, and we're using it. But then it becomes like another extracurricular activities, because of the way it's being discussed over and over and over and over and over again. And that's the problem with Hoshinkanri at times, because if it's not, what makes it futile is if there's no direction from management, and then you do your Hoshinkanri. How could it be a Hoshinkanri if there is no mandate that you talk about from the management? It has to come from management, otherwise it's just a planning tool that looks like a Hoshinkanri, but it is not Hoshinkanri. Hoshinkanri has to come from management. They have to be the one to tell you the direction. That's why the wig, the wildly important goals are really goals coming from the management. That's why Hoshin Kanri has to be top down. And then when you report, it becomes bottom up, and then they give feedback. So that's the true nature of what Hoshin Kanri is. So what are the benefits of Hoshin Kanri? Every employee is clear of their role and objectives. Leadership evident at all levels. If it's correct, if it's correctly done, everyone understands the goal of the organization. Really, if it's properly done, then this is clear. Aligns resources, objectives, and metrics to all goals and at all levels of the organization. Of course, balanced scorecard does that beautifully, and even more beautifully because of the metrics. But the thing what Hoshin Kanri should be able to do better than the balanced scorecard is the alignment of the resources and the other goals at all levels of the organization. Because we talk about alignment with the other teams, with other departments in this case. Employees are involved in setting targets, which sometimes happen, sometimes does not happen. But the ideal Hoshin Kanri is that, right? Improvement schedules and reviews. There is a clear line of sight, well, because of the alignment side, right? Okay, this is the Hoshin Kanri model. There's a senior management composed of the vision and objectives. It lays down the goal and aligns gives the strategy and resources, and then there's the Hoshin plan, which is at the middle of everything. So the review, the implementation team for the action and schedule, the action and schedule, alongside the strategy and resources, then it come up with measures, and of course goals are also is also there, right? And then there's a review on the vision, mission, and the objectives and the action schedule, and the intersection of these three circles, with the middle management giving strategy resources, with implementation teams getting the action and the schedule, the intersection would be the Hoshin plan. So Hoshin Kanri at three different levels, we have. Oh, this is the first time I've read this again ever since I took up my first master's in 2005, 2006. Management by principle. There's even management by objectives, right? Management by principles, vision, mission, and shared values, and then management by priorities, right? Because we are now prioritizing in terms of the resources, objective setting, target, means, deployment, and then management by projects, and these are the individual projects down at the individual department level. Okay, Hoshin Kanri system for goal alignment. We have organizational goals on top. And again, if this is not the beginning of it all, then you will have problems. Then there's a department objective going down. You see, like for example, what I mentioned last time about selling 100 million units of the shampoo, and the department objective, for example, for Luzon grid or Luzon team is like, okay, since we have 10% of the sales here, then that means our goal is to have 10 million sales, 10 million shampoos sold, right? That would be the department objectives because of the percentages that comes up with that. And now if you will lay it down and then cascade it down to individual region, for example, then you will have regional objectives, like for example, this first regional team has like 15% of our goal. So that means if it's 100 million on top, then it's 10 million at the department level. And since it, for example, that team has 15% of the sales of North Luzon or whatever, or Luzon, that would mean 10 million times 15%, or about 1.5 million, right? So and then it cascades down to the individual level. Sometimes down to the individual street, you know, just like how they do, targeting in other products. So what you will see here is that each subsequent goals going down supports the previous level's goals. Okay, so how about the lean imperatives? Okay, on this slide, we talk about what Hoshin Kanri is in terms of the alignment naman on customer value, right? The uh, operating philosophy, and then the alignment principle. So here we have here, for example, customer value, which is customer focus, right? And then teamwork, which is really what Hoshin Kanri is all about in terms of giving deployment and alignment to people. And then plus the continuous improvement, which is our operating philosophy. And the aligning principle moves from down up to the customer value, and it aligns all the uh, core values, so to speak, right? So customer value, that would be uh, on top of it all, because we consider that to be the top priority, customer focus, customer value. And then kaizen, which is continuous improvement, and teamwork, really, although some may consider that to be like an after fact, but it's important. It's really something that the company ought to focus on as well. Plus management by fact, these are QM principles. You see that in ISO, management by fact, or managing decisions using the facts, no, using facts. And that would be the alignment principle of the Ocean Canry, and it somehow balances the lean imperatives. So we have here the employee involvement. So we have Hoshin Kanri, which is top down, as I said, on creating and improving systems, but it's also integrated with teamwork in the sense that the total employee involvement naman is from the bottom up. Okay, is focus on total employee involvement in continuous improvement. We have inputs from people. Okay, maybe we should consider this also. Look at adding, for example, another area so that we will be able to make the 1 million quota for our team, something like that. And the company does that beautifully with the Hoshin Kanri. So linkages to balance scorecards and MBO. This is something that we've mentioned a few slides back. Management by objectives. So balance scorecard is the report card of the company at a glance. It's a performance management system. It's also been called the strategy management system. It contains macro measurements. Macro means big measurements, no? Employee performance, employee competency level. And these are macro in the sense that you're not talking about individual people, but the organization as a whole. We are talking about key success factors, so critical success or key success factors. As I said, productivity or maybe competency of people, and revenue. Of course, that's a success factor. We cannot but help but accept that fact, right? And balance scorecard is really for senior management at a glance. When you look at balance scorecards, it's really for management. But I can see a lot of individual companies, that have what we call the the strategy management system, or the balance scorecards at the department level or even division level, and then down to the individual level, right? So that's a good practice. That's one of the best practices of balance scorecards, which makes it a little like, a little something like Hoshin Kanri already. So Hoshin Kanri provides focus and alignment. It measures the key processes, and it reveals the what, the who, and the when. While MBO targets are negotiated between the supervisor and subordinates. So parang MBO is a thing of management, individual form conversations with people, and it's the management or the supervisor, or line manager, so to speak, talking to his or her subordinates. Okay, breakthrough, think big, boldly important goals. We call that big. In our previous lecture, it is called WIG because Stephen Covey called it WIG. But I think they're just trying to play on the word big. That's why they called it big. But it's really WIG in terms of what Stephen Covey and the rest of the guys called it. So it's an important goal. It's not only just a goal. It's an important goal. It's not just an important goal, but it's a wildly important goal. In this case, boldly important goal. So it's a breakthrough. It means improvement to a significantly higher level of performance. And for us, it's like saying we cannot help but get this performance. If we don't get it, then we are a failure for this year. So lack of breakthrough for a business organization would place it in a position of regression rather than improvement. So if you are not moving forward, then you're moving backward. So that's what this all means. So the underlying principles of Hoshin Kanri is still the PDCA, the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle of Deming. The Pareto principle, we've mentioned this already last time, focus on the vital few or the critical few. And then the cause and effect relationship, which aligns to the balance scorecard. So like we have this leading indicator, which goes to that lag indicator. So really connected. So the review strategic planning process, we have there the raison d'etre, the reason for existence, the mission, and the future intent, the vision. Where are you going in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? And then the guiding principles, which are the shared values. And then we have capabilities and risk, environmental assessment, strategies or broad statements of direction. Like, okay, so since our goal is to make a difference, blah blah blah, so now our strategy would be to get our programs accredited by Pakokoa, or strategy would be to go to be assessed and accredited by ISO under the ISO framework. Strategic objectives will be things to improve within the next 3 to 5 years. So these are strategic objectives, and these are, I think, more or less the short term. Some people call it the medium term because it's 3 to 5 years, but compared to like a 10-year plan, it's just you know uh, it's strategic in the sense you have to really work in order to get this done because this is the starting point of it all. And then we have individual action plans. No? So the cascade goes from goals, di ba? Big goals, and then broad outcomes yan, no? And then strategies, these are the approaches you will take. And then we have objectives, which are the measurable steps to achieve the strategy. So objectives, measurable na yan. Smart kasi yan, no? And then tactics, these are the detailed steps and tools you will use. So it's tactics, we sometimes call it action plan. Alright, so we have the catchball process. We use the word catchball because from the top, the catchball deployment will be to your team. So we have the vision, annual objectives, the measures. Then there's two-way negotiation, two-way dialogue, and then department to the department manager. So okay, so the goal now is sell 100 million of the a shampoo, and then there are measures. Okay, sales 100 million. Now we have another two-way dialogue and negotiation to the section manager, because if that is your goal, you have to distribute that down the line, right? So if you have section managers for Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, NCR, then you have to see to it that the goals are distributed downwards, or else, like if the goal is 100 million and then you count everything and you have only like 70 million, then where would you get the 30 million if you have not assigned it downwards, right? So that's where the measures come in and the objectives come in. And then when there are measures already, we go down to the front line. These are individual employees naman. So again, same process, two-way dialogue, and then negotiation. Finally, you have a measure. So that's called the catchball. Parang sinasalo nila yung the plan. So we have here example as example. So policy owner, the the MD, ano ba yung MD? Um, Managing director, I guess, no? Division manager, department manager, section manager, and then engineer. There's a feedback upwards. There's a feedback to the department manager. There's a feedback to the division manager, and then there's a feedback to the managing director. Diba? So, here we have naman yung operation, yung objective which is customer satisfaction, to improve quality, to improve overall yield para din sa department manager, to reduce defects para sa section manager, and then set up a load Kaizen team to reduce rejects in line A-1. Diba? Masyado siyang detailed, no? Talagang down the line. Okay, and then the means would be to improve quality, to improve overall yield, to reduce defects. Pababa naman yun, no? So, parang customer satisfaction, means to improve quality, and then improve overall yield. Sorry about that. I don't know. Did I say anything that would prompt Siri to search anything? I didn't call her or something like that, right? Sorry about that. Ayan, so parang ganito yun, no? Scratchball is, magne-negotiation kayong red na yan, no? Downwards. Okay? Okay, the 4 key phases of Hoshin Kanri is yung top management objective setting. Siyempre sila muna yan, yung top management. And then down to the deployment to department manager. Sometimes may division pa dyan sa number 2. And then operationalizing through projects. Okay, hindi naman kailangan laging projects, no? Pwedeng individual performance or targets na naman down the line, no? From department managers to your team. Ngayon, sometimes ang dali kasing gawin na projects na lang para, after it's done, then you have what you assigned. And then finally, yung feedback loop dyan is the review performance. Okay, ito yung phase 1. Mag-i-input siya ng corporate goals, strategic planning, benchmarking projects, past performance, yun ang mga inputs and then self-assessment. And then you go to the process where top management sets the objectives and determines tactics to achieve the objective. So, dapat talaga si top management yun, no? And then, review and obtain commitments from department manager. So, okay ba to sa inyo? Blah, blah. And then, are these breakthrough objectives? Then, go to, A. And then, yes. If no, it's deployed as daily management objective. Pag hindi siya breakthrough objectives, parang it's just a routine. Ayun. Parang ganun, like, kumbaga sa teacher, no? Kung ikaw yung merong Hoshin Kanri, paggawa ng grade, pag-submit ng grades, paggawa ng exams, hindi breakthrough objectives yan because talaga naman dapat mong gawin yun, no? So, these are daily management objectives. So, common Hoshin Kanri tools will be the alignment and deployment chart for improvement of Hoshin. So, parang alignment and improvement, deployment chart, would notice kung nakanino yung bola na yun. Where's the catch ball deployment? Diba? Like, in a school, for example, there is the student services, student welfare, student development, student discipline. Alam mo, nakalimutan nyo sabihin yung student discipline, hindi nyo na inailagay kung kanino. Alam ba, wala tayong student services. Kunwari lang, no? And then, it was not assigned. Then, maganda makita doon sa alignment and deployment chart because makikita mo yan doon na, no one is doing that. Okay, daily management matrix naman for daily management, papupunta doon lahat ng daily management tasks. And then we have Gantt chart for projects para malaman mo lang naman when it's going to start, when it's going to finish. Kasi importante yun, lalo na if you're doing yung PERT CPM, yung critical path method. Like one department, for example, finishes the project and then you start your project naman because he already finished it. Or maybe yung goal, yung input mo galing sa kanya, then kailangan meron kayo ng Gantt chart. And then yung management control chart, no? It's not really a control chart, but it's something where you see all the plans that are happening, ongoing. So, meron ng ganito, meron talagang software nito minsan, no? Kailangan lang talaga, minsan, dinedesign niya ng team ng IT, no? Ano yung mas kailangan mo because wala naman talaga ready-made na Hoshin, no? Na template. So, ito yun, no? So, step 1, what breakthrough thinking, no? Step 2, how far? Is it this year? And then, step 3, how, which key processes? Ibig sabihin, saan doon? Ano yung ating papagandahin? And then, finally, step 4, Step 4, hindi pa pala final, no? How much and when, measures. And then step 5, who. So, who's going to do it? Then that's the resource deployment. So, we have here, no, yung step 1 is the breakthrough thinking would be 3-year breakthrough objectives. So, realize, tinan mo dyan, ano ba yung mga gusto mong magkaroon ng mga breakthrough thinking. So, but how far are you talking about? Is it like 5 years or is it 1 year lang or 2 years? Then step 3, paano mo gagawin yon? What are the key processes? So, di ba, it goes from your magnum opus, talagang grand plan, tapos kailangan meron kang, action plan. So, ito naman yung deployment tree from the GM, no? Improvement of process quality, M1. And then for the department manager, naging improvement of assembly and process quality, improve test process quality. Section manager, nagkaroon ng improved process capability at FOL. Implement defect prevention at EOL. And then sa frontliner, improve bondability of MQFP devices. So, andyan na siya sa devices level. Implement vision system for MQFP trim process. So, kung makikita mo from a very wide view, no, pupunta siya sa detalye. No? So, that's what it is. So, cascading policy deployment comes from, for example, yung department manager, no? Yung objective niya is the what, no? And then we have the measure, yung goal. The how is the tactics, and then the targets or the measure. And then papunta naman ngayon yan sa section manager, no? Yung kanyang how becomes the objective, no? And then yung targets, yung tactic niya nagiging objective. Yung targets naman niya nagiging goal sa baba, no? Kasi target ng department manager, hindi mo naman yung target, ng goal mo yun, no? Kasi you want to achieve that in order for the department manager to achieve his or her objectives. And then yung tactics, ganun na naman, the same, no? Yung tactics mo and then yung targets mo papunta dun sa may engineer, that will be now the objective and the goals. 'Di ba? So parang ganun lang, pababa ng pababa, you will see that it somehow evolves there. So, ito naman yung types of review, kung monthly, quarterly, annual review. Kung meron pang weekly, gagawin talaga nila yan, no? Usually, the meetings are venues for this. So, ano yung mga checklist for annual planning session? Yan, ang daming nangyayaring annual planning session. Yung overall measures ba in the Hoshin and structured business plan, clear and understood? So, di ba? Bago ka magplano, kailangan sabihin mo na, clear na ba to sa kanila? Number 2, does each strategy has an owner? Yan yung sinasabing alignment. So, kailangan you will see that lahat ng strategy merong process owner. Kasi kung hindi, sino kanino ma-assign yun? Right? Number 3, have the critical business issues been addressed? Meron ba mga critical business issues? Kaya nga sa PQA, ang tawag dyan yung organizational profile. Yan yung mga weaknesses, strategic challenges, kailangan yun na na-address na. O kung hindi mo ma-address, parang may plano ka nang paano siya address. Kasi, ang plano mo kasi is only as good as the implementation. And sa plano mo, you don't see things not going your way. So, ito yung maging realistic part doon. 'Di ba? Na hindi naman talaga matatapos agad yung problem mo dyan. Kailangan mo siyang isolve. Number 4, have the carryover activities been picked up? No? May mga carryover down the line, o meron bang nag-catch doon sa baba, di ba? Yung mga lessons learned ba been picked up? So, ito yung mga cycles of improvement, mga cycles of learning na dapat nakuha ng input. Kasi later on, when you talk about it, then ito yung input sa'yo. Parang kumbaga sa school, there's like a CBA week or whatever it is, right? And then yung mga group na nakaando dun last year, they share their experiences. Okay, sinusulat nila yan. Sasabihin nila dun, dapat ganito, maaga pa lang nagpa-practice na ng CBA. Dapat mamili tayo ng magaling na mga players para hindi tayo nagtuturuan sa dulo. Something like that, di ba? Yun po. So, ang ibig sabihin nun, lahat yun magiging input sa plan. Ang hirap kasi yung wala ka na, tapos hahanapin ka ngayon, sasabihin sa'yo, ano nga bang ginawa natin dito last time? Diba? So, kaya ako nga nag-turnover, dapat alam na nung pumalit sa'yo eh. But most of the times talagang hindi niya alam yun. So, ito naman yung factors of contributing to effective Hoshin Kanri. Operating effectiveness, syempre, coherence ng group, and then the mobilization. So I think critical success factor, it has to be it is data driven management by fact. Focus on the process, not the result. So ang idea kasi ni Hoshin Kanri is that when you have a process and it is perfectly done and all that, there's an environment of you know talagang sakto dun sa paggawa mo, no? Convenient, it's something na talagang if you're like a team player, it will be convenient for you. It will be good for you to work there. Yun, focus on the process yun, no? External customers identified and considered top priority. We said that management goals and priorities are universally understood and deployed across all functions and within each level of planning. Universally understood, dapat alam ng lahat, naiintindihan. Adequate tactics defined to achieve goals. Ibig sabihin, if you have the goals, you don't print it kung wala ka pang tactics. Kailangan na pag-usapan na muna yun. Paano natin ito magagawa? Tapos papunta ka sa mga team mo, di ba? Gagawin ninyo yung hosting ninyo using the guide questions here. Di ba? Communication among functions are sufficient. Importante yan na may communication. And then regular management review para sa feedback loop. Sorry. O yan. So, yun lang naman, no? Ang ating topic dito, tingnan natin mga iba pa dito. Yan, may mga Kaizen pa dito, benchmarking, RCA, maganda rin pag-usapan yan. And then later on sa lean, yung value stream mapping. So, that's it. Thank you very much for listening. And after this, you may now ask your questions. Salamat po.